Every episode of The Gauge is brought to you by Bill Fick Ford and the WCRA. Guys, Bill Fick Ford is the #1 Super Duty dealer in the country for the 4th year in a row. You guys have heard me rant and rave about Bill Fick Ford for the absolute best buying experience in the car industry, truck industry. Bill Fick Ford's the place to go. I bet you remember the old ad where I said I was getting a new Super Duty. Well, here's the keys for that. Bill Fick Ford delivers, guys. No bull discounts, no bull interest rates, the best buying experience you can get. And if you are not local to Huntsville or the Houston area, he'll deliver it to you just like he did to me. Bill Fick Ford. If I say, who wants to be a millionaire? Would anybody not put their hand up? Of course not, especially in rodeo. Well, thanks to the WCRA, the dream of a $1 million purse has finally come true. You can win $1 million by nominating your rides and runs and earning points with the WCRA. Through the Triple Crown of Rodeo, the WCRA will award a $1 million cash prize to any athlete or collection of athletes who wins first place in any 3 consecutive WCRA major rodeos. $1 million up for grabs, which is pretty much unheard of. Rodeo Corpus Christi will be the very first stop in the 2021 Triple Crown of Rodeo. The event will pay over $540,000. Yes, I said it, $545,000, and will be held on May 6th through May 9th. There will be 0 entry fees. That's right. You don't even have to pay to enter this rodeo. The only thing you have to do to qualify for the Triple Crown of Rodeo event is by nominating your rides or runs with the WCRA. Here's the common misconception with the WCRA. It's just for the pros, for the elites. Well, if you can hang with these people, but maybe you don't want to commit to pro rodeo, I get it. It's a big commitment. The WCRA is made for people like you because you can enter these events, nominate your rodeos, and win crazy money. Just like Rodeo Corpus Christi and this $1 million we keep talking about. To learn more, just visit triplecrownofrodeo.com. Again, that's triplecrownofrodeo.com to see how you can earn a spot at Rodeo Corpus Christi and possibly be the rodeo's next millionaire. Pow!
This is The Gauge with host Chance Conradu.
Are you freaking serious? It's Conrado. This is The Gauge, and I am Chance Conrado. On this episode of the podcast, we have got Rafter G Rodeo. We have not had a stock contractor on, and especially one with such a rich history. We sat down and got into it. Lots of different things. By the way, he's a Star Wars fan, and I think it's interesting to get their perspective. We had a lot of people ask about it. It's not what I was expecting. I will tell you that. I thought this was going to be like a 45-minute podcast. We talk about a few things, but in typical Gauge fashion, it goes over. So what? Get mad at me. I don't care. Listen to it. It's a lot of fun.
I always wear a hat, but when I was a kid, but as I've grown older and I've watched, man, that's a cowboy life. I'm supposed to.
You do it because you like it? You do it because you feel like you have to wear it?
Yeah. I mean, I pretty well wear a hat everywhere but church.
Really?
I don't know how my terrible.
See, I'm different.
This is my one that's not so messed up. I got my ranch hat. So,
there you go.
Yeah. And if it's up to me, I'd have a straw on right now.
Really?
but
you got to follow the rules.
The wife rules.
Yep.
She says I have to.
No straw hats in the winter. What? You can't put your straw hat on until what?
It's only going to be winter
15th?
next week.
Yeah.
It hadn't been winter yet, but it's going to next week, right?
Yeah, that's it's going to be time for the long underwear. I'm different. The hat is and always will be like a uniform thing for me.
Yeah.
I don't like wearing a cowboy hat around.
Yeah, it's what you get used to. Tell you, I wore a ball cap constantly, and once I started wearing a hat, I can't hardly wear a cap no more. It's
really?
just like it's what you get used to.
Yeah. It's always on the dash. Always has been for me.
Yeah, I had year before last at the NFR. My dad and Cotton Rosser won co-resist all men of the year, and Cotton, Dad didn't go, but he did an acceptance speech over the videos, whatever. But Cotton, he was there, and he was adamant. He said it once, he said it 10 times. Cowboys need to wear a hat. And it was really good. He's 90. He was 90 or 91.
Yeah.
Man. It's pretty. Hey, heroes always been cowboys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, now more than ever. I mean, we need it more than ever. It's like we're under attack.
Yeah. When am I going to hear something in this?
Oh, wait, you haven't been hearing this whole time?
I've been hearing you, but I can't, nothing in my earphones.
Oh, so you're just hearing like an echo outside?
Yeah.
Hi.
How about now?
That is some rookie stuff right there.
There we go. There we go. Now we're in business.
You feel like you have your hearing from 20 years ago now?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what it feels like, actually.
What was it? Shooting guns without ear protection and the whole deal?
Maybe 2 Jensen triaxial speakers right here in my semi truck when I was driving, and straight pipes and all. I don't know.
It all kind of goes together.
Yeah, the last time I think I got the loss of hearing was when I shot my pistol, and it right there, and I hadn't heard too good since out of the one ear.
Do you have the what do they call it? The constant ringing in your ears that drive you nuts?
Tinnitus.
Tinnitus. Yeah, that's what that is.
The constant ringing. Yeah.
Yep, I got that. That's the worst. Keeps you up at night.
And a lot of other things do too. So yeah, it's pretty much. What do you want to worry about tonight?
Yeah,
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, that's the way of the world now. What do we got to worry about?
Yeah, it's pretty. Folks don't get it. How it was much more fun when I was riding bulls and picking up and letting my dad do all the worrying. Now it's kind of changed over. She gets to do the watch the animals and get all that, and I'm the one worrying about them.
It's kind of like the gift and the curse of a multi-generational business, right? You have something that is as aged as what your guys' Rafter G is. You guys really kind of have to do that, right?
My daughters are putting me through what I put my dad through. So yeah, it's an honest truth, and there's nothing bad about that. But it's what it is. What it is what you said. It. They got bred into the deal is that they love animals. They love to ride. I got that from my folks, and mom and dad. It's not a bad thing.
It's just a thing.
It's definitely a thing.
She's being really quiet about the whole deal.
Yeah, we'll let her open up. Between she has taken but both my daughters, Megan is the oldest, and Summer, they have been interested from the get-go. Megan's been more interested into the pomp, you should say, the flag carrying and such. Now she can go and help me do anything and all that. She actually is the only one right now that's working for a living. She
has a real job.
She's a nurse, and she works an emergency room in Forney. And so the rest of us right now we're in between jobs, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
She chose to go to college and stuff and get a real job.
She wanted nothing to do with the family business?
Oh,
no, she is involved, but she also wanted something, where she could, make her own money and kind of do her own thing, but also be involved in the rodeo stuff. But
yeah, she
just doesn't work on the ranch all day, every day like I do. But
right.
Yep.
She still has her horses and, helps us gather and all that. And as she goes to the rodeos with us too, she kind of works her schedule to where she can do that still. So
right.
And she makes, a good living. So
yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do. People gotta be able to do what they want to do. Right?
Well, I encouraged that a little bit when she was, I don't know, maybe still in high school. I said, look, have an out, because the rodeo business, who knows if it's what it's going to be. Well, I
didn't listen.
Yeah, she acted more like me, I guess. But way it works out, when she's not working, or this particular time she's working nights, so it's really tough for me to get my free labor out of Megan, because she does have to sleep some, before she goes to work. But they're there to help me, and I would rather have them than 5 hired guys to come help me if I'm working livestock.
Right.
They both know their business. They think like me. In some instances, that's good. Not at all, but in some.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who grew up on the ranch or work, because it was very similar for me and my sisters. I mean, we grew up in our parents' horse training business, and it's like we couldn't wait to get away, and then what ends up happening if you do is you come back.
Careful what you wish for.
Exactly. Yeah, because you might get it, and then you might find out everything kind of is a little calmer and makes more sense in the family business. But I guess what I would say to kind of take us back a minute is explain as if I don't know, because there may be some people who listen to these that don't know what Rafter G is. Explain it, like top to bottom. Either person, both of you, maybe.
Oh, well, I guess this goes way back, but the Rafter G, the name doesn't go way back. The Rafter G come from just our last name, because after my dad sold the Mesquite Rodeo, we sold the name with it. All while what I grew up with was my dad started and mom started the Mesquite Championship Rodeo in 1958.
Brought rodeo to TV and stuff. And
Yep.
It was kind of the first thing, kind of put rodeo on the map, really, TV-wise.
It's from 1958 till 1980.
Was it the first televised rodeo? Is that?
I think besides like the NFR,
Yeah.
it was pretty much the only thing.
You can't really say how it's the first. I can remember maybe Cowtown being on TV some.
Really?
And it's still going somewhat, I guess. I really don't know. Not on TV, but we started, Dad got it going and started, I think, with ESPN. And my interest was just working. I was still in high school then. If I can remember the days. We're not going to into those subjects, but and then it took its jump is when it went to TNN, and a guy named Alan Reed was involved in it. Basically, I mean, it was more popular than the NFR at one time,
Right.
Because of the coverage. We were on TV on a Sunday night. Every Sunday night, people knew what time it was on. It was on every week, and we had a following all over the United States. I had we had different times. We had the Dodge Challenge Bulls at the time, and I had a cousin in 1992. This is getting on way ahead. I'm skipping around, but
It's
how
all right.
popular it was in 1992. Things would go around, and he was serving in the first Gulf War. He was stationed before they actually went in. He was in Japan, or what are they, getting ready to go, and he would call and ask if they rode the Bounty Bull. It was something, and the only way that's popular is because of TV. And TNN went away when it graduated from Mesquite to the PBR, and that's where it started. The PBR got its roots with Alan Reed. So, technically, Dad had a hand in that and is getting that started too.
Right.
So when all that long story too, 1999, they said, after the fact, they said, well, we kind of wish you would have left it at Mesquite Championship Rodeo, because the rodeo was just named that, but we changed our brand to Rafter G Rodeo to keep it separate.
Sure. That makes sense.
Yeah. And so that's how it come about. It was no brainstorm. It was like, well, our last name's Gay. Put a Rafter on it. It's Rafter G. There you go.
Yeah.
Pretty simple.
It's simple when you say it like that. Yeah, because, a lot of people might they might see it and they might think, well, I've seen that at the stock show or what have you, and not understand, like, the rich history, which is, you touched on it, but, there's a lot of history from your guys' family and when it comes to rodeo and the things that, obviously, your dad did and what have you.
It said that we talked earlier, it's in your blood.
Yep.
And it's kind of getting to be I don't know, Dad, he rodeoed for, we could have 5 talk shows if we talked about all my dad's stuff. And it's unreal. And one of the regrets I have is we never wrote a book, because it's just amazing. You could sit around and hear stories of him and his best friends. But I basically, for me personally, it's like I had no other destiny.
Right.
And it kind of the same for my girls. And I'm going to give you I'm used to, if you get to talking, I can talk about my kids or animals, and I have endless stories, right? So, but I was born in 1962, and one of Dad's best friends, he's had numerous friends in the business, and that's what we get. But Jim Shoulders was one of his very best friends. Dude Smith was another, and another was Ira Akers, who was an outstanding cowboy too. They were all cowboys. Of course, Jim Shoulders, and I'm assuming Dude is, but
Yep.
When my mom or whatever, how that's pregnant, whatever, he said, Jim, I'm going to name my son after you. And Jim said, oh, don't do that. He said, every boy in Oklahoma is named Jim. And Dad said, I don't care. I'm going to name him Jim, and I'm from Texas anyway. So
It's like it's not a name you hear anymore. You're not going to find an 8-year-old kid running around named Jim anymore.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of those old names, Jim, Craig, names like that. They just don't really, they're not a thing anymore.
It's quite an honor for me. It's and my middle name is after another, Ira Akers, and it's James Ira. And I talked to Marvin Paul Shoulders just the other day, and after Sharon had passed away, and they're a second family to us. Jim and Sharon and Marvin, they were down at our house in Mesquite, they're all a little older than me. Marvin's, I'm guessing, about 9 years older than me. So, a 17-year-old don't hang around a 9-year-old, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, he always calls me James Ira, and because he knew I was named after Jim. So Sharon had told me, she said, you got, after Jim had passed away, she said, I said, yes, Sharon, I knew I was named after Jim. And she said, well, you got some big boots to fill. I said, Sharon, that'll never happen, but it's an honor to have that opportunity to try, because, Jim would come down to Mesquite, and he would say, when I'd see him, he'd go, hello, Jim Gay. I said, hello, Jim Shoulders. That's just what we did. I mean, it's Jim and Jim, and it's pretty special if you get it. Well, I mean, it's so, and it gets on down to my kids, and Megan was riding when she was little, and Summer would be riding with me when she was too little to ride by herself. Like one instance, we go through the Mesquite Parade, and she falls asleep about halfway through it, riding. She probably didn't want to hear that one get out. There'd be other instances, like we'd be gathering bulls, and her mom she's not quite ready yet to leading her through the pasture, and we're gathering our bulls who have been notorious, reputation. And we work our bulls, we put them in a pen, we work them horseback out of gate and work them out. And at different times through Mesquite, we'd have different folks, kids, young guys working for us, or bullfighters or what. And they would they would tell me later that Summer's sitting back off over here with her mother on a horse, and she's got to be, I don't know the age now, I've forgotten, but I mean, she's not riding by herself yet, and so that's pretty young. And she's naming off the bulls when they come out, every one of them. Now, you think about that. That's probably 4 years old. You can name off bulls that are coming out of here, and we're talking 30 bulls out of a pen. And the guys that are working for me, they're going, huh, what's that? And they've been working whatever. I'm going to give another deal, and they're amazed at this, is when she'd be 7 or 8 or 10 or whatnot. I might get the ages wrong. That goes with my age, right? Her mother would tell me to be at the NFR, and they'd be watching the barrel horses go, and she'd say, look, I'll use the name, Sherry Servey changed the bit on her horse. How does she know this? I mean, come on, think about it. So
Her and 10 million other barrel racers would notice if Sherry changed a bit.
This is at a kid.
It's impressive.
Yeah, and I mean, she could tell that. So yeah, now she has bits like.
That's most girls
Bits are like
have
gold watches.
like an addiction, like purses or clothes, stuff like that. My addiction is bits. Like I can't have enough. Like it's just
Your
one
collector
of my favorite things.
Probably
so,
have drawers with Kelly bits and Flaherty bits.
Oh, yeah.
And like whenever the new thing comes out, you have to have it.
I do.
I just say put one on my horse, will you?
Yeah.
They know
You
my
don't
name
fit in the
now,
barrel
like,
racing crowd.
No.
You got to know the terminology's down.
Well,
I handle pretty much all the bridles in the barn for
Do you?
all the ranch horses, all that.
You have it
to
all
my barrel
organized
horses.
specifically.
Oh yeah, I'm very.
Snaffles,
And
O-rings,
our-
everything separate.
Yeah, I have all my stuff in the feed room on the wall, everything hanging. But then like we have a 30 stall barn with horses, and half of them are colts and stuff, my barrel horses, but we have ranch horses. So that when we'll have people come gather bulls with us and stuff, and they don't always know. So I have a hook for every horse's name, and so say they're riding Target, say you can go get Target's bridle, and so it's the same every time. It's the same as his horse,
And it's such a skill to learn what kind of bit to put in a horse's mouth.
Well, that's probably hereditary. That probably skipped me a generation that come from my mother. She was the same way, and she'd had old bits that she'd.
yeah,
it's been
she's giving
handed
me
down.
some of her old stuff too. So
But
it's cool.
it did skip a generation. So I'm like,
She's like,
whatever.
Dad, you cannot put that chainsaw in that horse's mouth.
Yeah. What is that? She'll just go, oh, come on.
He just uses whatever I.
Isn't
give
it
to him.
amazing how valuable bits and like saddles and things have got?
He
It's
has
unreal.
absolutely no idea.
None?
What?
He
You look like the
probably
guy who would know.
doesn't need to know, because then he'll be like, "Oh my gosh, you spent that much."
Let's
on
not
a
talk
bit."
about prices, right? We're having a good conversation. Let's leave that out.
Come on. If you go into daddy's business, you got to get some of daddy benefits.
Yeah, well, I see. I'm losing my headphones here.
Yeah, see, it was going to fail at some point.
Yeah, now you're going to have to see my long hair. Yeah.
It's all right. Halfway through, we get a hat change.
What's that?
Ty could get you a ball cap if you want one of
I
these.
can wear a ball cap. I hadn't done it. I used to be a baseball fan.
Really?
I'm good.
He's good, Ty.
My hair's down. I'm good.
Yeah. He combed his hair just for the show.
Yeah. I've said I'm waiting to get a haircut for when I get a paying job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which could be a while at this rate.
Yeah. I mean, so that's interesting, right? Like, were you guys as shocked as I was to see that Fort Worth backed off? Like, I was trying to figure out what reason they would do that. Was it because, there's more to the stock show, obviously, than just the rodeo? Was it too close to the NFR that they didn't think it was worth it? I mean, what are the reasons? Because it felt like out of nowhere.
Oh, it was heartbreaking for everybody, for them, us, hundreds and hundreds of vendors, stock show participants. That it was for them, a gut rid sheet decision. It had nothing to do with the NFR. They're thinking from what it is, their board made a decision based on the safety of the kids, and it's the stock shows.
Oh, so it was a COVID thing.
It was a COVID thing.
I see. That's so surprising from Fort Worth. I would like.
It's
I
when
get
you're-
it with Denver, right?
When
of
you're
course,
dealing
Denver's
with,
going to
if
do
you're dealing
that.
with kids,
Yeah.
everything takes.
Yeah.
That's I don't fault nobody at that for that.
Right.
I don't.
It's a tough position to be in.
You're in a no-win situation. You danged if you do, danged if you don't, and I think it broke their heart too. But they did what they thought's right, and that's one of the things you do. You do what you think's right, no matter what you're doing in business. So I learned that from my dad. You do what you think is right, and you live with the consequences one way or the other. It's like selling a horse or selling a bull or deciding, heck, we can see it in the rodeo business, man. I'm 58. My dad's 94, and seeing the folks that have come in there, it's which road do you take when you're rodeoing? And I know, how did that get off into that? But you said, it's making a decision. And you see this with cowboys. You can see so many with so much talent. It's unbelievable talent, and they're gone. It's because they made the wrong choice, the wrong road. They got in with the wrong group of guys. There's so many things there. It's just, that's where you have to, what's the word I'm thinking of? Life's decisions are not easy, and in our mind, and it's work, what you're supposed to do is ask God and go along and do the right thing. We're working on that all the time. That's a work in progress. But I see their motto and they're ready to go is ready to go in 22. They're already working on 22. It's going to be bigger and better. We were disappointed, but so were hundreds or 1,000 other folks, more. But they had to do what they thought was best. And I think hindsight, with the new regime, they probably did what's best. Well, they're going to watch out. I better watch where this conversation goes.
Well, so the thing about this show is that you say stuff like that, you're just pandering to your audience anyway.
I get it.
So
yeah.
You're going to get a whole lot of people disagreeing with what you're saying. Well, it's kind of the nature of our industry, right?
I'm a firm believer is just, mind your own business and stay out of mine. And I like to do the same thing back. We just want to be left alone to work. And granted, this was I'm not saying the COVID is not there. It's not that. We are being extra careful with my folks. Mother's just had a birthday. She has a little bit of a respiratory problem. So
Gramps is 94. So,
right.
I mean, them we worry about more so than like us as much. But
well, yeah, absolutely.
And so, it's real.
Oh, it's real.
But it's still, we're
still kind of go on with our lives and what we're doing.
Well, isn't that the thing?
As long as we can.
We're going into a whole year of this thing, and like people are getting just their lives are being ruined. Every day that this continues, their lives are being ruined from every aspect of life. Just not just rodeo.
We're blessed, man. We've still made it. We're still good. I ain't saying we're not hurting. We're struggling just like everybody else, but we have a place to live. We have a ranch. We still have our family's health is great, so we're good. The flip side of that, them horses still eat every day, and
we have lots of mouths to feed on the
when
ranch.
You're
That's
feeding
the
them
trick.
close to a ton a day. You know what feed costs?
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
And we say, well, you got them, but you know what? The horses are, they don't have a job really. We get to go. We've had a couple of little small ones, but nothing to speak of. But it's still better than a lot of folks. You see some businesses going out of business because the government won't let them work, and it's not supposed to be a government decision. It's supposed to be. That's why I don't fault the stock show at all. It's they were concerned about the safety, and that's.
Well, and what we always have to remember is we're all in it, right? We're all rodeo. We all grew up in it. We don't see very far past it because why would you want to? We love it. Everything about it, from the history to the current stuff going on to the people in it. What we don't realize sometimes in our little subculture is that these bureaucrats, these politicians, all these other people outside of it, that's like, they don't even understand it. They don't see it. So they could wipe it out in a second if they really wanted to. So we have to protect it.
Yeah, you said we got me on the politics side. It's just like I quit kind of watching football and baseball. I was the biggest baseball fan. I was as big as anybody. I love baseball. You don't bring politics into entertainment. We're in the entertainment business. Rodeo is entertainment. Football is entertainment. Baseball, basketball, whatever, all of them. They're all entertainment.
All falls under the same banner, yeah.
Yeah, and cowboys are athletes. we're never going to be football, baseball fan-wise, but we're still all in this. But when you go to the rodeo or you go to a baseball game, you go to watch them play baseball, or you go to the rodeo to watch them ride bulls or run barrels or ride a horse. We're not there to say our side. I can say my side right now because this isn't a rodeo. I feel I'm comfortable doing that. That's what I think pro sports should be. But football should show nothing but football, and it's just what we're here for. I mean, we had a bull riding just a while back in Waxahachie, and I told the guys, the barrel man and the announcer, I said, no political anything. And this was before the election, but no, nothing. I said, we're here to entertain everybody. And it don't matter who. If you're buying a ticket, you're there to be entertained. And that's what I feel like it should be for other sports as well.
Well, rodeo is in specific, right? Because to gain new, fresh audience, I mean, there's already kind of a red asterisk next to it, right, for these type of things. So to gain new, fresh audience, which, I mean, I got to give it to the PRCA this last year for what they were able to accomplish. But you really do have to be super, super, in this scenario, no, you can say whatever you want. That's what's great about podcasting. We can say anything we want to say, and either you like it or you don't like it. But when you're out there on the platform and you want to grow something like rodeo, you want to grow something like PBR, I mean, you have to be so far central, because if people who might like it get a whiff that you're too far one direction, then they're never going to give it a chance. So we almost have to approach it different than those other sports do to grow it.
To a point, there's two things that we won't venture off of. Is we will pray before the rodeo, every performance, everyone, we will say a prayer.
National anthem.
And the national anthem. There will be those two things. It doesn't matter if you don't believe in God or believe in Jesus or none of that. That's your prerogative. We're not telling you to. We're also not going to shove it down your throat, but we're going to have that at the beginning. A long time ago, Dad said one of these other things is, like, we don't go to a rodeo to hear a church service. I don't go to the church to see a rodeo. I know that sounds kind of, but it's the truth. And but we're going to say thanks for getting us to our Maker for this opportunity to have this event, and that's what we're doing. So,
absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's all the analogies. You'll never see a cowboy kneel, or you don't see a cowboy stomp a flag or do any of that stuff.
They're never disrespectful to the flag. They might not be standing at attention like our honorable soldiers do, but they're not disrespectful to the flag. They're disrespectful for a lot of other things.
depends on the person.
It is what it is. I mean,
some of them got to have that edge.
I mean, they got to have a wild side. There's nothing wrong with that. That's why you're a cowboy. It's free
to an
spirit.
extent.
Yeah, it just depends. You got to have those wild characters. Those are actually like the guys that help elevate things. I've always thought that. I always liked the guy who is the black sheep, especially in rodeo, because there's so much rodeo, especially now. There's so much rodeo and there's so much repetitiveness. It takes a lot to stand out. So when someone does, it's just really refreshing.
Are you old enough to remember Larry Sandvik? No. Bareback rider, many times NFR. His nickname was the Wild Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the type, and there's nothing wrong with it. When he was younger, I wouldn't have wanted him around my daughters, but I love the guy. He's a talent, and he brought excitement to the rodeo arena, and that's what you need. But he's a good guy too. He's kind of, and you'll see this with a lot of guys that there's some of those guys that would a lot more than you think would be a throwback to the 1890s cowboy, and that's a good thing.
It is.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of guys that just click in your head like, dude, that guy is absolutely crazy, or he is wild. A lot of people are so respectful that you need that one or two guys who's just super weird and does stuff completely different.
Yeah, and you don't see.
I always remember Sid Steiner. I'll never forget Sid, because I was just like barely old enough to see that, and then I know the Steiner is pretty good, and it's just like there's not very many people who do that. We need another one of those guys.
Yeah, stands out for sure.
Yep.
And his son will too.
He tries hard. I think he tries hard. He's got, you can tell that Rocker's trying to fill the shoes. Those are big shoes to fill between Bobby and Sid.
You know, and it's one of those things you know, and I watched part of the deal with them.
Yeah.
And we was kind of mentioning it, talking about it earlier about practicing and whatnot. You have to, you know, I mean, I like Elvis. I'm an Elvis fan. You don't want to get in my music variety. It goes all the way across this board here. She's listening to it on the way up here. It goes from Hank Williams to, I don't know, Disturbed to everything. You know, I mean, I listen, but Elvis, to me, he's the ultimate entertainer. And okay, at his height of his career, or probably long spanning career, there wasn't anybody any better or a better draw. He would still practice hours and hours before a show and do 2 shows at a night and still would practice and practice. And that's how you get good no matter what you do. I don't care if you ride bulls, rope calves, ask Joe Beaver or whatnot. That's all he ever did is carry a rope around. You hear that story. Or if you're running barrels or you're training horses to sell, you have to ride them every day or you have to rope every day. Sid, he talked about bulldogging every day. One thing, probably can't ride bareback horses every day, but you can do something to help. Your body couldn't handle riding a bareback horse every day.
You'd have a short career if you did it every day.
But you do something to prepare your body to handle riding those horses. So, and that is where we're the same as baseball and football and golf and music. I mean, life is, we're kind of all tied together.
Well, it's getting highlighted more now, right? Like in this more modern age of rodeo, you're getting to see these guys train like professional athletes and carry themselves like professional athletes, and I like that a lot. But I also like the old cowboy, and I like that there's a mix.
I like the old cowboy because I'm an old cowboy, right? That's, you know, it's like one of my favorite football players. There's a couple of them, but is old quarterbacks. I don't get run out of Dallas. I was the only Buffalo Bills fan in Dallas when they were going against Dallas in the Super Bowl. Of course, we lost, but it's the attitude of a guy like Jim Kelly, who was quarterback for them, that, you know, he was about my size, but he had a linebacker attitude. I mean, he just tried his hardest, and that's what you got to do. It no matter what you set out to do is to give it your all, your best, and it goes to, like I said, if you're Sid Steiner competing to be at the NFR and the steer wrestling to going on to being a world champ, or if you're a rocker, or if you're Summer and you're riding horses, or we're developing our own bulls and horses, as we've been doing over the years, you give it your utmost and all your energy to try to succeed. You don't always come out on top, but you got to be trying all the time and do your very best. You don't want to say, well, I could have tried a little harder or I could have done something to make this horse successful. I should have done this or I should have done that. You exhaust everything you have.
Absolutely. Yeah, because if you don't, someone else, or in this instance with how much depth we've got, 10 more people are doing it, and you're just never going to compete at anything. You're just not going to catch them.
There's bulls on every corner as to raising bulls. Everybody has one now, it seems like.
Yeah, that's the new trend now, right? We see all these trends. It's like everybody wants to own a bull.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to own a bucking bull. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's
almost like it's for Instagram, it feels like. Everybody wants to just show their bull bucking on Instagram.
Yeah.
Hear their name called, whatnot, and there's good and bad with it. It's learning to adapt with the change, and sometimes it's hard to adapt. Personally, I've gotten kind of away from raising bulls. I would get away from it completely, but she loves it. And she's the main reason I'm doing this. And
what is it you love about raising bulls so much?
it's not even just the bulls. I love genetics, and whether it be the bulls or the bucking horses or my barrel horses, and that's kind of the one thing that's always fascinated me is genetics and being able to see something, I guess my favorite part would be whether it be a bull or even a heifer born, and you see them born, you see the day they're born, and you watch them grow up. And me, I guess my one thing, I was never super interested in school and stuff, but I can remember this calf, the day it was born till now, all the steps, and to see something like that, like, our, 2 of our 3 bulls went to NFR last year, we raised, and that just makes me a little extra proud. And being able to see them, the day they're born and remember that, and then to see them go somewhere like the NFR or Fort Worth, and it just makes it special, and it interests me. And I love the babies. I love, like I said, calving season starting, and I love going out to check them every day, and it's the best and hardest time of the year always, but I just love being, part of their life the whole way, and watching them grow and seeing, them mature, and every one of them is so different, and it just kind of fascinates me. Whether, same with barrel horses, it's super fun for me. We race those too, and that's just my favorite thing. Or like, a bull that, went to NFR and you have calves from it, and then his calves go to the NFR. That's cool to see that. Or a mare that goes, the NFR. And like last year, we pulled our first embryo from a bucking horse. We're kind of, I guess, a few rodeo companies, a couple are doing that, but not a lot. And we're kind of old school, but I got him talked into. It was actually a really cool story. I was at the NFR, and we were visiting with a friend outside the building year before last at Vegas, and this guy come up, and he's in a hoodie with, I think, like Stevie Ray Vaughan on it, and he's like got a beard, and I'd never met him before, and he's like, hey, I'm Greg Veniclausen, and I want to pull an embryo from one of your horses. You pick whatever one. I want to do it for you. You pick from one of my studs, and no charge at all, and I want to be the one to give you your first bucking horse baby for nothing. And so
For nothing got my attention.
Nothing. He didn't
There's
charge.
not a whole lot of for nothing in this business.
Exactly.
That's definitely one of my favorite things that's ever happened. And he's one of the coolest people you'll ever meet. And he is, reproductive vet. He also does other stuff, but he pretty much his hobby is bucking horses, and he clones. And he's who originally cloned like Latte for Mary Walker and stuff. But
Right.
He let me pick out one of his clones studs, and I picked out the mare I wanted, and 3 bells. She's been the NFR 3 times, and I picked the stud, and we sent her up there, and he pulled embryo, and then we had a baby born last year, and that's cool to me, and that's my favorite part about doing it.
Yeah, I find that interesting that you say, because I don't, on the barrel horse side and the rope horse side and all that, way more in tune with what's going on there than the bucking stock and the bulls, but we've been pulling embryos for a long time on that side. So
Yeah.
you guys are...
It's a lot harder.
Is it just the values of the horses haven't been up high enough until the last
Not
decade
really.
or so, or
I
what's
think-
the reason?
I think like a lot of rodeo people just don't really think about doing that. And cows you can flush and, get lots of eggs. And that's all. The cow side of it's almost been going on longer than the bucking horse side of it.
Right.
A lot of bucking horses, it's hard to breed them themselves and keep them going to the NFR.
Yeah, because once you breed them, they'll never buck the same, right?
And some of them do. A lot of guys do.
They say they're going to buck better, but they can't have a lot of colts. They get the
bigger belly and
but they need to have a couple from what they.
Yeah, and a lot of horses too. We have never thought about doing it. They're not. Our bucking horses are bucking horses. They're not real gentle, and they handle good. But our vet from our town that helps out some, he's kind of nervous to stick his arm in one of them because they're not. They're still a bucking horse, and so I think that stopped us a while. But we actually ended up sending 5 mares to him last year, and a couple good mares that we had put with a stud and couldn't get bred, and thought we weren't going to, and I sent him up there to him, and he did it all artificially and bred first try. And so he's awesome. He's working with a lot of contractors now, and the cloning thing is new too. A lot of people look at it and are like, no, that's too that's not right, or we're not doing that. But it's really, he's making a name for herself in the cloning world, where I think it's really cool, where you're bringing back some of those genetics that, wouldn't be here right now. And I mean, their DNA is the same. And like our full baggage is a gelding of Frontiers. I can't even name how many awards he's won. And he has 2 clones of full baggage, same age. And I picked him to be the stud for 3 bells. And so, I mean, he told me to go home and tell my grandpa that my mare had a colt from a gelding. And so it's just a crazy thing to say. And that's cool to me. And he helped us a lot get into it.
The Clone Wars have begun.
Yeah.
That's a Star Wars reference, right? Good.
You just hit every button for the boy in the corner there. You guys have got a lot to talk about.
I could talk Star Wars with you.
I'm proud of that.
4, 5, 6, and 3, 2, 1. The rest of them are kind of lame. But
You're on point. You're on point.
Yeah. All right.
Look at how excited he just got lit. It was like horses, bulls.
The Clone
Star
Wars.
Wars?
I'm glad somebody knew what the Clone Wars were. I would get there going, what the heck is he talking about?
It is so interesting to see kind of the introduction of clones, and I mean, they've been doing it for a long time. A lot of people don't realize that, or attempting to do it. I mean, God, they cloned Scamper forever ago or something like that.
Yeah, he was one of the first, I think,
that was,
in the barrel
that was like
world.
15 years ago or more.
Yeah.
It might have been more than that. It was when I was a kid.
As long as they keep away from people, I'm okay.
I hear what's going on in China, you know what I'm saying? They're cloning people already. I heard some weird stuff that they're doing over there, like mixing DNA. That sounds terrifying.
Well,
like a bad horror movie.
Well, you get me going. I'm going to be in trouble again if I go on this rampage. I get distracted now. Going along here, I'm going and talking, trying to tell you about something, and I don't know where we went off on. But the Super Bowl, like the commercial, and I didn't watch it, but I watched a little bit because I was Tom Brady. Yay, what a guy! He's like him or hate him, it don't matter.
That's pretty amazing, dude.
He's
43.
an amazing guy. Yeah, and also when he did an interview, I seen a MAGA hat in the background, so he was cool. But okay, I digress. But
I was wondering if that was real.
I don't know, but I'm saying it's real because I like it.
I mean, I know back in like 2015, 2016, he expressed that he had like a friendship with Trump and that he was, and then he got destroyed for saying it. Yeah. And people were saying that he doesn't deserve his platform and stuff because of it. I'm just wondering, like, is Tom Brady that ballsy? Did he put a MAGA hat during?
Yeah, well, you know what? Like I said, during the football game, and he didn't need to do it. To me, okay, we get off on the Super Bowl. What I was getting around to, I'm going to say in a minute, but when we brag on Tom Brady, that reporter, which is fake news stuff, it's everywhere. It's even there. He tries to tell him which was the most special moment you had to win the Super Bowl. He goes, this one is the special moment. This is our team. We won the Super Bowl. The guy's trying to take that. I think that's just awesome. That is true. It's right then. Now, when he retires, he gets to say what his most special one was. And it could be the first one or the last one or the third one. Who knows? But it's just they're always trying to manipulate you to put something in your mouth, and that he didn't want. It was their moment to enjoy a Super Bowl win, and they're trying to make something.
Well, they do that with everything, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no journalism. There's no such thing as journalism anymore. We have it in rodeo still, but it doesn't get the eyes. But journalism is dead, right? Yep. It's just thumbnails and trying to catch people.
Yeah,
that's all they do.
What I got around to that just gets was this commercial on there, and I didn't watch it, but it was brought to my attention. This guy something singing "No cows, no cows, no cows" or something. I'm thinking, what the heck? This cows and agriculture is the backbone of America, and
you could really get me in a rabbit hole with the whole cows thing.
Well,
I think it was a Burger King commercial.
It was a milk commercial. They're going to have milk just comes from the refrigerator. You don't have a cow, but no,
was it like an almond milk commercial?
No, they torture cows or some stupid stuff. Excuse me, but that is a deal, and that goes to. I don't know about dairies and milk because I know my dad worked on a dairy when he was like 17, hardest working job he's ever. But I go back to these folks that how they get with rodeo as to how they don't think about, or how they don't think we care about our animals. And that needs to be addressed at all times. And I'm not saying every stock contractor is that way, but I'm going to say that 98% is probably that way. It's just like saying not every husband is a good husband. You know what I'm saying? There are exceptions. But in our household, that's what we do. It said we might not have a job, but our animals are going to eat. They're taken care of, and that's old Louis L'Amour style. You take care of your horse first. You might need to read a Louis L'Amour book, right? You know who Louis L'Amour is?
I don't, but I'm going to have to look into it now.
You read a Louis L'Amour book, will you?
I'll do Audible because I like to listen to my books.
He's got some of those too. That's
I
good
bet he
too.
does.
But anyway, it's really a pet peeve because, and it kind of goes with cowboys too a little bit too, that they come and compete and think they know everything about your horse or your bull. And I'm not saying every one of them. I'm saying there are some. They need to sit back and look and do a little bit of this, or get back and she's out there. It don't matter if it's raining, snowing, sleeting. If it's going to be this cold, 19 degrees in 2 days or 15, she's still out there checking a calf, and we're out there with them. We're out there every day taking care of our animals. They come first. Family comes first, but they're a part of our family. You get it? They're the next. Yeah.
My entire life, the horses eat on Christmas before we do.
Exactly.
It's always been that way.
And people that don't have a clue what's going on, sitting behind a desk or somewhere, or carrying a picket sign or whatnot, they need to come see. Of course, you can't change their minds.
You can change their minds. You just have to really invite them in. Ty didn't know anything about rodeo, and he's come in and he has a humongous appreciation, right? Because you're not going to find a podcast producer working the rodeo, at least not to his level, right? You're not going to. We've invited him in, and I think that's the trick, right? At least that's what I think. And you can't do this with everybody, right? But I feel like inclusion is kind of the answer, right? That's why this podcast even exists, is try to help grow rodeo. And I actually think we've done a pretty good job. But I think inclusion's the only way, right? Is approach them, like if you want to get religious, approach them the way like Jesus approached people, right? Invite them in. Invite them to eat at your table. Bring them in. They may knock the table over and leave, but at least you invited them in. Trying to show them what we're about. That's what we need.
You want to hear what do you call them? Pop bands stories from Mesquite days, way back to when. This would have been back to anywhere from the early 90s, okay? Have you ever heard of like the Moody Blues?
No, I haven't. I'm saying no, I haven't heard of a lot of things. I feel dumb.
Or
young.
Yeah, you're young. Okay. Well, they were playing in Dallas, and they were a pretty big band.
Yeah.
And pretty big band. Actually, when you look that up later, hey, they were pretty big. Okay.
Look at that. He was right.
Well, after the rodeo, they wanted to come, and we let them ride a horse. They were fascinated by it. You go, now again, you don't know if they're ever come back or not, but they did enjoy that, and we let them show that. There was another instance, and I'm out in the arena on my horse, and I look up, and our skybox is at Mesquite. I was talking to somebody, and I said, who is that guy? And I said, I know I've seen this guy before. And he's up there, and he's watching, and he's intently watching the rodeo. I mean, every little thing, you could just look up, and he's just like,
fascinated by
yes. Well, it's Mick Jagger.
No kidding.
Well, nobody knew he was there, but that's because he was brought there as a friend of, that was the time, I guess, he was dating a Mesquite, or married to I don't know, Jerry Hall, but from Mesquite native. Anyway, when he was there, and we didn't speak to him, talk to him, bother him, but you just get all walks of life. You don't know. He really was interested. If he was bored, he wouldn't be sitting there staring and watching the barrel racing to every bull riding to or cowboy, the poker we had. All you have to do is get those folks to come, most folks, and they're going to be entertained. They're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, and something. I mean, what are your opinions on this? Because we're more in the same age group. I would just be interested to hear what you think. Because
Well, I need an ally here. Where am I?
no, we're all on the same team. I just want to know what she thinks too. But because you're 100% right, and we saw it like at the Riggin rally in Darby, Montana. Right? It was freezing. It was raining, sleeting. We're hovering around like these burning trash cans. But the cast of Yellowstone was up there, and they watched the dang rodeo. Right? Granted, now they're playing these people, and it was kind of put on for them, but they probably don't have those guys. I mean, Kevin Costner doesn't believe what we believe. You would think he does, but he doesn't. And they still were okay with the rodeo, right? They still wanted to watch it. So I think people can get it. They're never going to watch, steer roping. They're never going to be okay with tie down more than likely. But
we're never going to be football or baseball. That's
we don't need to be.
Well, no, we need to cater to what we have and entertain the folks that come, and they get something that they get to see something they can't see anywhere else. Still, the best thing the cowboy is associated with a horse. I love bull riding, and I think it's got a great place, but it's still not rodeo. And rodeo now it's a good for an exception event. But rodeo in general is because of the horse, and the horse is West. It is associated.
That's what it all started with.
Yeah, it's
always
it's associated with that. And if you, I don't know. I guess that's where I'm biased. Who can't not love a horse? Now, can I get mad at a horse sometimes? Oh yeah, but
who hasn't kicked a horse in the belly once or twice?
Yeah, I get mad at my kids, believe it or not, every once in a while. Maybe.
Most of the time it's for being too much like him, so he can't get too mad.
That is a parent thing.
Yeah, I see a lot of them in me, and I said, y'all try to take after my good thing and not leave all my bad ones alone. I got maybe one good thing and a bunch of bad ones.
Well, what do you think though? Like as far as growth in rodeo and how like clearly you can't make it ever go mainstream, but you're dabbling in a bunch of high level stuff, right? I don't know exactly how old you are, but you're really dabbling in a lot of high level stuff. And what do you hope to see happen here? I mean, there's a lot of people involved in rodeo now who I feel like are pushing it to grow like it really hasn't before, right? And I just wonder what someone who's young, who's decided to make this their life and their career, especially on the side that you're on, like what do you hope to see? I mean, you're going to have a long career if you go as long as he does.
Or as long as my dad. How about that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I hope I see it grow more and everything. Oh, sorry, dropped my phone.
All right.
But I mean, I hope to see more, I guess, and it's probably biased of me, but animal stuff, just like that, like people seeing, how much we care about our animals. Because to me, I don't do it, and I don't do it every day to live to go to the rodeo, or that's not where I get it from. I do it for the animals, and that's what my whole family does it for. And so I hope more people could see that. And same as he's saying about, the contestants and stuff, it really does in the barebacks, broncs, and bulls. They cannot do what they're doing without the livestock. So I hope I see like more stuff of them get seen, because they are just as much, if not more, of an athlete than the contestant is, really. I mean, they don't get to practice or do all that, and they go out, or they don't have to do what they do, and they go out and do it. And I hope that gets seen more, and because they're just as much to me as an athlete as they are, and I feel like they don't get quite as much seen or publicity as a contestant does. And it kind of goes the same way. You see a lot of stuff now, and I think social media is great for, to get things seen and stuff, but I would like to see more people actually living it instead of just, posting it on social media, or girls that are saying they're Western or Calgary, then they just post, stuff. Go out there and do it and live it and see it, and then you truly get to experience it. And then, I'm not saying don't post about it. I love, you get a cool picture, post it or whatever, but I hope more people actually get out there and enjoy it and see it. And, like someone comes out to the ranch and you just take them to see all our animals and how we take care of them, and, that we couldn't do what we do without the animals just as much as a contestant can't do what they do without the animals. I mean, they're the reason they're giving us, their life to do this. And I hope I see more of that in rodeo. Them get just as much of a spotlight as a contestant does because, and I'm not dogging any contestants, they're extreme athletes, and, that's what they do, but it's also, they can't do it without, and I'm not even saying us, I wouldn't even ask for recognition, but, the animal, whether it be ours or another contractor, I think that they should get mentioned a little more and be appreciated a little more because I guess that what bothers us the most, as contractors is he always says our animals are like our kids. I don't know that obviously, but they're part of our family. So, I mean, when they go do awesome, you're so proud of them and it's just a feeling I can't even explain. So you want to see them have a little, thanks and stuff and for that. And so I hope I see more of that. And I agree. It's when you invite people in, I think that more of that should happen to see not even at a rodeo, just every day for our horses and our bulls. And that's the best part of it is not even the rodeos. It's just at home on the ranch. And I have a little calf on a nurse cow, and every evening I go and I feed him. I throw some hay out, and she bellers and runs and bucks and goes down on her knees and hooks the hay and runs around. And that's the kind of stuff that people need to see and see, how much we care about them and what all goes into it, because they really are our family. And not only our family, we couldn't be a business or make our living without them. So I wish more people would see that side of it, I guess. I
mean, absolutely. And we get to see that. That's one thing that's great about the barrel horse industry in specific.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention.
They do. I mean, it's all about the horse, and it always has been with the fraternities and derbies. And obviously, every time a girl wins anything, first thing they do is say, well, it's the horse.
That's what I was gonna
you're
say.
never going to
like
hear Haley take credit or Ivy take credit or Emily take credit.
Haley, in any interview, she's a friend of mine, so big fan of hers too. But any interview, no matter what the question starts with, the first thing she says is, I couldn't do this without my horse, I'm so thankful, she's just unbelievable. Whereas other interviews from other events start out, how do you feel, how's this been for you, and, what did this feel like for you? And it's like they a lot of times don't even get mentioned or anything, and it's like, man, and it's like, it's a weird feeling because it really is isn't for me, but it's like, man, this horse is 20 years old of ours and been in the finals 10 times. Like, he deserves to have his name mentioned or thanked, in an interview, because it's really, he's just as much of an athlete as Sister is. I'm not comparing any horse to Sister, but obviously.
I don't think you can anymore.
No, you can't.
She's
but
her
I mean,
own thing.
When they win something on them, it's somewhat of an equal as Emily Miller winning the barrel race or Ivy, winning on J-Lo. I mean, they couldn't do it without them, and these Cowboys couldn't do it without that horse or that bull. So why not? I mean, I wish more guys realize that, and it's not even that they don't realize, but really appreciated that, because like barrel racers, all of them, I mean, they can't even sometimes think of words for their horses like that. And these bucking horses or bulls are giving you everything they have to, win what you just had.
Don't you think it's because there's that detachments though? It's like Haley has to do so much to care for Sister, right? Or Emily for Chongo, or just name one person, or, whatever, Lisa, Louie, Stinger, and you name the horse, it requires, there's so much there. There's a really deep personal relationship if you have a really special horse, right? Or even any horse. Like, even if you rodeo on the weekends, you got to do so much with that horse. That's not the same with rough stock.
Pretty much you hit the nail on the head. But the guys, do need to come to realize that we're on the same team here.
Yeah.
It takes both of us to make it work. If it's us or
one doesn't exist without the other.
Without our Frontier Rodeo or Stay Smith or us or whoever, it don't make it darn. We come through and supply the animals, and yes, we're trying to make our rodeo team better each time, but sometimes I don't care if you're the New York Yankees, you go through ups and downs and you put them together. But what seems to be missing with the guy's attitude until they get older and they get closer to retiring or they retire is they forget that they have bad trips too, meaning a contestant. You know, there have been times where I'd say, I'd take a re-ride on the guy instead of the re-ride on the horse, because you'd be up there and there's 65 points on your horse because they marked the guy's ride, you know, a 6. Well,
people look at guys and they're allowed to have an off day, of course. I mean, someday you don't perform your best, or maybe, you know, you're just
Pat Mahomes, you know.
You're not. Everyone
Yeah,
has a bad day.
day.
Everyone, whether, you know, me or a contestant, you know, they're not going to ride their best, and that's okay. And everyone sees that that's okay. You know, I wish they would have had a bad day, but it's like when you're a horse or a bull, you know, has an off day, which to me, they're allowed to have an off day, same as a barrel horse. One day, you know, we can't talk to them. They don't know how they're feeling. You know, they may have an off day or just a different trip. And to me, they shouldn't be judged so harshly on one trip. You know, where guys at a rodeo, they enter one day and that horse is out. Well, the next rodeo, they may enter a different day and not see that animal, but they're still judging them off the one trip. We see them every trip of the year, every day of the year. You know, we know them. You know, I think they get judged really harshly when guys or girls in the barrel are allowed to have an off day. I mean, if sister stumbled and, you know, didn't feel right and didn't run her hardest after that, I mean, Haley wouldn't be mad at her. That happens, you know.
What you said really is they'll leave and go from Fort Worth to go to Jackson, or from Fort Worth or to go to San Antonio or whatnot. They're getting on one, they're going to get on another one. Totally different, you know, and it's not.
They may see that horse a couple times throughout the year, but there's no connection there, right? They're not in the truck and trailer with them day in and day out. And that's
there's
the reason.
none of that. And, you know, and it's like winning the, you know, Casey had to be 91 or be in the 90s to win the world.
To beat
Tim,
he
couldn't have done that without Junior Bonner. And it goes way back to Richie on Assault to win the $1 million.
Yep.
And
he was the first guy to win the $1 million that was on our horse.
Yeah.
So
it's just
cool.
not it, you know, and it goes from not just he's acknowledged and he's come to us and he's been like, I love that horse. I love that horse. Well, that's not what we're saying. It's just like the recognition of the American, that the animal athletes need to be recognized. The PRCA is starting to do that a little bit more.
Well, you could look at the PBR model already. They've done such a cool thing.
They're behind the PBR on that.
Yep.
And the PBR realized that the same as we did when we had Mesquite week in and week out, people knew if you come there, you were going to be popular. Animals are shown on TV, they're going to become popular. And if you're over and over, and that's the case, we had a bull called Spotted Fever. He had horns, you know, 4 foot long on each side, and was notorious about hooking a cowboy. And they'd throw a lot of guys off. I mean, he had fan clubs, and he wasn't an NFR bull. He wasn't that good, but he had a fan club, and people would send in letters asking when he was going to be out, when they could see him, could they get their picture taken with him. There's a little, I love to tell this story. Is it after Mesquite one week, and we had a deal. We had an after the rodeo, we were having barrel slack is going on, and we had an autograph booth, and the cowboys that was there to go sign autographs, and the barrel slack's going on, and everybody's cleared out. There's not a lot of folks there, hardly any. And this little kid comes up, and he's going, I want to get an autograph, And the security guy said, sorry, we're closed. You know, it's closed now. And he said, but I want to get his autograph. And he pointed up to the behind the bucking chutes. And so I let him come on in. And he went up there, and Tough Hedeman was standing there watching, going to watch his wife run barrels. And on the other side of him, there was somebody, it was Robbie Vaccaro. And this guy comes up, this little kid comes up, and he's got his autograph pad, and Tough kind of like, oh, okay, you know. And he just went right by Tough and got Robbie's autograph. Well, Tough is 4 times world champion bull rider. Robbie is a mesquite wrangler. But what I'm saying is Robbie was seen on TV every week. They knew who he was. And that's what you got to sell to the public. It doesn't, it's meaning tough is tough, but that little kid had seen Robbie on TV, and that's who he wanted to see. That's his autograph he wanted. And that needs to go for the animals too. Of course, they're not going to give autographs, but have pictures out. The PBR's done a great job, like with starting. I think that was their first big sell, and it kind of makes us proud, was Dillinger. He actually come from us. We sold him to the Harringtons, and he was one of the first that they really promoted, deservedly so. And then they took it on to the other bulls. But you got to promote our other side of the athletes too. And, you got some horses that, Get Smart from Canada is 20 or 21 years old. That's a pretty gosh darn good story. And that he was the bucking horse of the finals, so that should be out everywhere. How much do we take care of our animals? That's another contractor, but do you get what I'm saying? That's awesome.
So how do you make it, I'm going to play devil's advocate, right? Just because it makes an interesting conversation, because I agree 100%. How do you make it a mainstream thing? How do you make it exciting to where you can attract people to do that, right? Because it's got to be exciting. There's got to be something there to make your average person do that. And because you may never be able to get all the bareback guys, all the bronc guys, or all the bull riders to get behind anything, right? Because all they're thinking is, this horse didn't buck out for me, and it cost me winning the finals, right? You won't get that with a guy like Tim. Tim's going to blame himself, but
and it's not even. You don't even really want that. You just want them to realize, and it's not everybody. It's like Tim understands.
There are some that really,
they do.
are extremely appreciative, but there are some that are extremely,
and it's
well, and you see the guys, they'll mention it, or you'll see certain guys who are real excited about the draw because they know that horse is going to take care of them. They talk about it semi-regularly.
They could go to the NFR and they not have a great trip, but you know what? If they were picked for the NFR, they were deserved to be there. They had a reason
to be there.
Yeah, they did a lot of work to get there, just like the guy did.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? There's a bunch of guys that's not had a good NFR. And does that mean they're any less talented? No, it doesn't. It means they've had – just go back to the Buffalo Bills. They were a pretty gosh darn good football team. But come Super Bowl time, they didn't quite perform the way they were supposed to. That didn't mean they weren't a good team.
Yeah. Well, last night in Kansas City.
Kansas City is
rough
probably
day
a
for
great
those guys.
football team. Yeah, it don't matter. There's always going to be somebody better. There's always going to be an animal better. Always.
There's always going to be a next. There's always going to be another. That's the thing.
It's just like, what is that? Oh, I can't even do old songs because you don't even know who anybody is.
Hey, maybe I know. Just because I didn't know who Blues Bacluse or whatever was.
You're going to have to look that up. You're going to have to tell him for them. Yeah. Now, Marty, was it Marty Robin, Big Iron? There's always the Texas
Marty
Red.
Robin, of course.
Texas Red, he's the fastest gun in the West. But you know what? The Arizona Ranger took care of him. I'm a Western guy. You know what I'm saying? There's always somebody faster.
Always.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's ever going to get better unless, it's just going to take a little bit from everyone. I mean, not one guy's going to fix it, or not just a contestant mentioning it.
I think speaking up about it from your guys' side helps too.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I want to do, because that's, like I said, it's what we do is for the animals. I mean, we don't do it for spotlight on us. It's all about them, and they're what makes us proud. And even if it's a little bit from everybody, say like the contestant mentioning, thanks for having that great horse assault or whatever, or like the media stuff that's getting popular now, like this, or
Cowboy Channel's doing a good job.
Yeah, they're doing an excellent job. They and they did start like a spotlight on rankest horse of the rodeo, rankest bullet. So more of that helps. They're following contestants and stuff. Why not some? And I'm not saying them, but anybody, asking, hey, could message me, could you give me some pictures of this horse, or message, Frontier and say, hey, can we have some pictures of full baggage, to post on our social media, or tell us what he's doing on his off days of the year, and I post like some stuff on our Facebook, but it's obviously not, a huge, reaches a huge audience like something like Cowboy Channel or here might do. So, I mean, I think that would help too, just to,
Yeah.
and it's not just about them bucking. I mean, our horses all year, you know, they get to be bucking horses, and that's what's cool. They're turned out, and we have a lease place that's 500 acres. I mean, they get to be in a herd and be bucking horses, and I think it'd be cool for people to see more of them like that and their everyday stuff. You know, I have a bull that I can go out and pet, and, you know, it's kind of like he says, people remember it. And this bull's never been an FR. He's a really good bull. He's bucked, I think, every time we've ever had him, and, like, he's like a dog. Like, he's literally on my, I have him a pair of tool Converse on. He's on my shoes because he lets me pet him all the time. I mean, he
Has
loves
a cool
horse
name.
treats. He named him. I didn't get. It's funny. We got him. I can't not talk about him. He's like my dog. But, like, we bought him, and I think we owned him. He was probably 3 when we bought him, just from a bull guy, and didn't know nothing about him. And 2 years in, just been bucking him. You know, he's just a good little bull, little bitty, like,
Just a
not
dink.
much taller than this table. Like, he's kind of funny. And one of our guys was feeding him at the rodeos, and I was standing there, and he started scratching on him. I was like, oh, dang, you can pet him? Because, like you said, we're kind of notorious for our bulls being meaner. I've not had a lot of bulls growing up that I can pet or love on or anything. And I was like, man, you could pet him. Well, ever since then, I started feeding him treats, and he meets me at the fence, and he only eats certain kind of horse treats. Like, I bought the cheaper kind one time. Like,
He's like,
he took it and spit it out and wouldn't take another one from me. I went and got another kind, and he took it and was happy again. Like, people need to see more of that. Like, you know, it's just,
Sounds like he needs his own, like, Instagram page.
yeah, for
Maybe
sure.
you should
I mean,
do
he's
that.
the funniest personality. He also run me up the fence one time. So, I mean, he's still
Bulls
still
are
a
still
bull.
bulls. Yeah.
He gets grumpy about some stuff, and you're like, no, I don't want to mess with him right now. But our friend, you know, at Pivot Setter Rodeo, she has 2 kids, and her little boy loves bull riding, bulls, stock, everything about that. And so when he was little, I had her bring him back there, and I had Ahmed come up to the fence, and he petted on him. We fed him treats. I let her daughter and her little boy feed him treats. Well, now every year at Fort Worth, she brings him to the rodeo, and one day, and we go see Ahmed, and we pet him, and, you know, it just makes their whole day. And, you know, people need to see that. I mean, he makes a little kid's day. And it's the same thing. I went to Mineral Wells last year, and we ended up not bringing him. I don't remember why, but he stayed at home. And I had one of the committee people come up, brought his little boy, said, hey, where's Ahmed? I want to go take him to see him. And I was like, oh, we didn't bring him. Then I texted him. I was like, I feel bad Ahmed's not here. You know, people realize that because, like I said, never been an FR, but he has such a personality. People remember him and, you know, enjoy him. You can go pet him, give him treats, and he just blows people's mind that a bull. And he went a year where, you know, really a lot of the top guys had him, and he bucked a lot of guys off. He's just not really the style of what guys enjoy getting on because he's kind of an eliminator. But, you know, he's that good. People need to see that. I think that's what people would enjoy.
Did you catch his name?
That was my next question.
She said it.
Ahmed.
Ahmed. He's
Yeah.
from Jeff Dunham.
Yeah, the little skeleton guy.
And if I had $1 for every time someone has said that wrong at a rodeo.
Said the name wrong?
Yeah, they don't know what it is.
Well, I thought Jeff Dunham. I thought I'm giving him a plug. That's pretty good. You know, I just thought
Who
it
picked
fit
the
him.
name? You picked the name?
He named him when we got him. Like I said, I probably would have called dibs on it if I'd known he would be what he is now to me. He's like a pet. But I literally did not know you could pet him for 2 years.
I still have final say on all names.
That's a whole nother conversation.
You know, what you were talking about is trying to get stuff. Part of the problem at a rodeo is you're pressed for time and getting that information is hard. We've had a couple instances where, like at the stock show, Fort Worth Stock Show one year, we retired Dodge Durango, which is he's probably the best bounty bull that there ever was. And like 75-0, and he was unbelievable. But his home turf was the Fort Worth Will Rogers, and he was like, it didn't matter who had him. He was just super, super ranked there. So long story there, down that we retired him I can't remember the year now. So we turned him out there, and Bob Tallman give the big spiel and make everybody kind of go a little bit. And then
he got turned out like in smoke in the arena and a spotlight on him, and it was pretty. Not all of them get that, but it was pretty.
And
cool.
then right there, we turned out about 10 of his calves. Well, that actually made people think, "Hey, there's more to this than just a piece of meat." This is not. It's not, and that's what folks don't get. I got one other little deal, and it was last year, wasn't it? This past year at Mineral Wells.
Oh yeah.
They
year before last. Billings.
It was last year. I wasn't. Anyway, yeah.
The year before last was his last trip. We didn't know it was his last trip, but
he had cancer, and we had to put him down because of cancer. He
was 24 or so, but he was one of those special horses. Beautiful bay paint, like one that catches your eye. Guys loved him. NFR 10 or more. I don't even know how many times, but just one of those special
Well,
horses.
the committee there wanted.
This is in Billings?
No, his name was Billings.
It's at Mineral Wells at the Palapino Rodeo, and that's coming up in May. Plug, right?
Yeah.
So, but this is a thing that should be done a little more, but not in when it's in death or retirement, just into more. But he was the last rodeo for him to compete at was at Mineral Wells a year before that. And they actually showed the video, and I'm not comparing a horse to a human, but they showed it on Pink Night, and it had a cancer awareness deal. I mean, he had to be euthanized because of cancer. He was not enjoying life no more when we did that, and there wasn't a dry eye in our house, and people think, yeah, right. Well, there really wasn't, and
people don't realize, especially, I love the bulls. That's kind of what I almost get to be more involved in. Just, I can't flank a horse. It's harder for girls. But there's really nothing like a true bucking horse. That's, like you said, with rodeo, the horses is what started it all. There's really nothing that can beat a bucking horse. It's a real bucking horse that bucks every time, and just that special horse. There's really nothing cooler as raising horses, or there's nothing cooler than raising a really, really good bucking horse that lasts a long time. There's nothing better. So when that time comes to retire him, like Assault's been one of our very best horses. He's just turned 20 this year, and we hope we have, lots more years with him. He's in excellent shape. We've taken really good care of him. But when that time comes to retire him, I mean, you might not want to look at any of us, because that's going to be a hard moment, a special moment, not just hard. And
he'll be retired one day when we feel like he's not able to perform to the level he's doing.
When he's ready.
But
they tell you when they're ready.
He'll also, once he's retired, not every animal gets that luxury, because you will be overrun with animals when you have over the years. You can't. There's not a place. You got to find places for them, but there are certain ones that will live their life there. And
we have some horses at home that are. I'm 24. They're older than me.
We have them too.
That have been,
Everybody's got those.
Billings would still be here if he, if he didn't have that circumstance.
Billings is funny. He has two buddies, and they're Rawhide and Black Bart, and they just went everywhere together. They were like that. And now Assault has become friends more
the older group.
With the older group. And there's another one, another of the brothers are actually brothers is Assault, War Admiral, and
Rawhide.
Rawhide are
all by the same mother,
yeah,
different sires.
And you said you get some of
bunch of half brothers running around.
Well, Rawhide and War Admiral are full brothers. But anyway, some of their names after Rawhide, I started naming some of how the names go. Is if I think it's a really, really special horse, meaning Assault or War Admiral, do you have any idea where those names come from?
And Rawhide.
Well, Rawhide didn't. But
It was a
Assault and War Admiral and I had another horse later called Citation. You have any idea where they come from?
cigar.
I got a cigar. Have a cigar.
Oh, we
There.
could do cigars. I don't have any, but you could have one. Well, I'm thinking, War Admiral was a racehorse. Assault is like a military thing. Or
Nope.
they like...
They're
No.
all Triple Crown winners.
Oh, you did Triple Crown winners. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
War Admiral, that's the only Triple Crown out of those guys I
Oh,
recognize.
the only one that I won't name a horse after is Secretariat.
Yeah.
Because Secretariat's the greatest horse ever. I mean, I'm sorry, sister, I had to go second to Secretariat. I mean, Secretariat is
Kind of
just
like I could never
unbelievable.
name one of my barrel horse babies sister or Stingray. It's like you just, I could never go there. You just can't do that. It's not.
It's hacky.
It's not
You'd
right.
be a hack. People
But
wouldn't
you
It's
respect
not
you.
right.
You go back to Assault and War Admiral and Citation, those are so long ago. It wasn't to disrespect those horses, it was to honor those horses. And it goes the same where we have a few bulls and they're the people think they're Sage had the one bull of ours at the NFR. He goes, how come you misspelled this bull's name? And its name is Chosen One, CHOSIN 1. And he said, that's not chosen. I said, no, it's Chosen. And it's after a battle in the Korean War. And it's not it's just a small way that it could honor the military. I've had another bull that we had called Market Garden. And I got a lot of where the heck did that come from? Well, it was also a battle in World War II. It was just
To make you feel better about not knowing musicians.
Well, I was just
did
gonna
not
say.
know about that, and I asked about it. I'm thinking of like Central Market, the eating place, and I was like, Dad, why did you name this bull, Market Garden? I'm thinking it's something like that. I was like, I don't get it.
hey,
And he was like, no. He had to explain it to me.
You know what? It's just a small honor, and you can do it. It's so we're thinking about them. I know that. Well, you ain't thinking about them, but that is our greatest generation. You don't want to forget about them.
Never.
World War II generation.
We're about to lose the last survivors of that.
We got a new bull. We call Road to Baghdad. I don't know if he's going to be an NFR bull or not. It's not the point. I
get it.
It's just something, and it's just a little say thanks, buddy. We got to have an assignment of 3 things so far for you to read later.
I'm on it. He'll write it down for me.
Yeah. Well, the Moody Blues. Now you got to hear that in a Louis L'Amour book, and then
Yep.
you need to read up on. I don't have an audio on the Battle of the Chosen Reservoir. You can just look it up and then read it. It's a short little 5-minute read. Mm-hmm. You'll be amazed. When I read that, it was like, this bull's perfect, and that bull actually is. It fits that. It's just.
This is. It
I
goes
like
back
that.
to the people
No,
stuff
I like
about
the
not
meaning.
not knowing about bulls. It's kind of phrased from that subject, but this is a bull we raised, and he's 9 now, which is getting a little older for a bull, but he's been the last 2 years in FR, 3. This was his 3rd year, and Vegas last year at the NFR, he just wasn't quite himself. He got a little drawn up, and I noticed it was different, and come home, and he had a horn infection, and horn infections on bulls are pretty bad, and they get bad quick, and he ended up getting one in both horns, and we took him to Dr. Warner and put quite a bit of money into this bull. He's probably, me and my dad both, our favorite bull. It's hard to explain. His personality is just super cool for a bull, and put some money into him, and I think he lived at the vet for like 3 months, and it's just wild, and we that we wanted to get him better, and he come back, and it was a few months, like he missed Fort Worth that year, and come back. I think it was they had a deal at Northside, but
Yeah.
back in Houston,
We had no jobs last year after Fort Worth.
Yeah, exactly.
But this is the year before, and at the beginning of last year, he'd come back, and we're hoping he comes back. He hadn't been bucked in a while, since the NFR. And I think it was March maybe he finally got to come back, and bucked awesome. And I mean, didn't like he never missed a beat, and then he goes on and he made the NFR again this year, and finally, had a super healthy NFR. And I mean, he bucked off, Stetson Wright, who's had an amazing NFR, and
that was wild.
And, I mean, and I'm not saying I wanted to. I would have preferred Stetson to win the round on him, so I could have had a buckle. But, I mean, he went and performed his best and did awesome, and that makes you excited. And people don't realize, what we want to put all that into him, to get him there. Same with a horse. It would probably surprise a lot of people. I don't know, barrel racers listening to this. You probably know, or Ivy knows of Dr. Hannes. He's a really good friend of ours, and he's worked on several of our bucking horses. And he doesn't work on those all the time. He doesn't even have a great setup for them, but he puts us a panel up every time we come and get to roll them in. And I just texted him today. I mean, people don't realize how in contact we are with those people too for our bucking stock. As much as a barrel racer is for their horse, if I feel something's off or anything, I can text him. And we actually ankle biter one of our horses, I think 5 times NFR. They won 3 rounds on him in those 5 years. I took him to get injected because he gets a little sore, and Hannes laid him down and injected him, not like you could a normal barrel horse, but we put that, into them and watch them and realize what they need, and they help us. And I mean, Hannes is, I can't thank him enough for all he's done for us, but
put all their kids through school.
Yeah.
But I mean, people don't realize that either. Like, you almost hear a lot of barrel racers say, "Oh, stock contractors don't care, about the ground, with this stuff." Well, that's not true. Or we're having our, some of our best horses and stuff bucking on this ground. You want it to be safe for them too, and because we want them. They don't do us any good if they're not healthy, And so it goes that way too. But I mean, we put a lot into them. People don't realize we take them to the vet if they're off or not normal, or, hey, I don't feel like he's acting right. And people don't realize that too. They think, oh, stock contractors don't take care of their animals very good. Well, a few of ours, walked into Hannes's clinic like just as any other horse would, to help them.
We led one bucking horse in there and didn't
He's
even put
an
a twitch on
exception.
him. Picked up his back foot, stuck it on a block to be x-rayed. And he wasn't an NFR horse, but he's 20 now?
He's our oldest horse on the ranch now. He's probably close to 30.
He's bucked his whole life, and
his name's Willie Buck, and
like, I wish some of these barrel horses were this nice.
He's extremely gentle. You can put a halter on him in the pasture, lead him. He colicked one time at the house, and we went out and caught him, and Dad walked him up and down our driveway, gave him a shot, and took him into Hannes's. And
what she's trying to say is they need to everybody walk a mile in our shoes, the same as it goes other ways. We are all on the same team. It's like, we don't want to see Stetson get bucked off that ride she's talking about. We would like him to win first, but we want that bull to buck his very best and Stetson to give his very best.
That's a lot of people ask me, who are you pulling for? You hoping you buck them off, or, wanting this? And I was like, no, I mean, anytime, really, with whether it's a rodeo at Mineral Wells or the NFR, I don't care if they ride them or if they don't. As long, I hope if they ride them, they both do their very best, and it's a lot of points. That's what you want. I don't care if it's a bull that's never been ridden, or if they go and win the rodeo, that makes us excited on them, And now, but he's right. As long as they go out there and buck their best, and you can have no control over what the guy does, but they go out there and buck their best. That's what they're there to do. But you hope that. I think guys don't get that too. I hope they do good on him more so than otherwise.
It hits it, and it's very important, and it needs to come from both sides. Okay, we're at fault too, contractors. We tend to be a little bit hard-headed sometimes, maybe, but contestants, as you know, are also. But we are. I said it 2 or 3 times already tonight. We are on the same team. We're not a team, so to speak, but we are all together to make this thing work. And like one of my very, very good friends in the rodeo business is Hunter Cure, bulldogger, you know. And how we become friends was he contracted the steer wrestling steers for Fort Worth, and we become acquainted. And after we become acquainted, we find out we're not quite so different, meaning, not to get it wrong, he's, you know, we're not best buds and go hang out.
Different ends of the arena.
We're rodeo. We are friends, but we are friends to come up and speak to each other no matter what. And it's because we took that little extra effort, which not everybody has that opportunity to do a business deal, but it doesn't take much just to go talk to somebody. And I found out I didn't have this, and we were talking. It was funny. We was talking before the NFR this year, just talking. He come over, and before he was going to get introduced as being a Texas world champ, and I don't know how it got brought up, but he said, "Oh yeah, I used to ride bulls," and I went, "You used to ride bulls, really?" And he said, "Oh well," he's talking about when he was in high school and such, and he said, "I kind of grew out of it." I said, "Well, believe this or not, I used to steer wrestle, and that was actually my best event when I was in high school. But I had a problem, as I didn't want to practice. I just wanted to carry my rigging bag because it was a lot easier than throw it in the trunk of the car and go get on bulls. That was more fun to me. But that was just, neither one of us knew that. We just had a conversation, you know, and that's what it takes, you know. But, you know, we're down here, we're running the slack, and we have to tell folks, let's go, let's get going, or, you know, come on, everybody be ready, or this and that. And it is a business. We are in the entertainment business, and we have to entertain whatever folks it is, if it's the people in the stands or on TV or what. We are, that's what football and baseball are too. They just don't realize it. We are in the entertainment business. We happen to be athletes that get paid if you perform well to do that. And that's, I mean, I get off on that subject. It is so important. The most important thing is to entertain the folks that are coming to buy a ticket to watch us, or to sponsor that, and to take care of those. My job, and relate it down to my daughters and my crew, is our job at the rodeo is to try to provide the contestants with an equal chance and safe chance. In other words, the ground being good. That's what we try to strive to, and an equal chance to win. Not everybody's going to win, but you try to do the best. You don't make it where you've loaded up the Saturday night pen of bareback horses, and Friday night's pen is all the B team or the C team. You want it where everybody has a chance to win. Now, granted, we'd all love to have an A team out each night, a solid boat, but unfortunately,
not enough depth for that.
But there's still, it doesn't matter, you know. Shazam was I think that was the name of that horse, was a great horse, but he wasn't Secretariat. And any other time he would have won first in all three of those races, but he won second because Secretariat was on his game at those particular time. And that's what happens.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it continues to help create interesting dialogue on this show when we have guys like you on here, because we get the other side. We've had 100 world champions on the show, but never a stock contractor. So I'm glad you guys came on and got to kind of voice all that, because I think it's important. I think you guys are hitting the nail on the head 100%. And you're deep. You're so deep. This is my one liner. You're so deep, I think we need to get you a 10-gallon. That's all your naming and your history. You're a smart man. I like that.
Oh, yeah, thank you. But, got you fooled, right?
Well,
no, and it is important.
We'll see what she says when you go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So, I can't believe you let that go on here.
Oh, no. They actually, it's kind of the same deal that goes down from my dad. They're kind of like, okay, I'll talk to you, but it's strictly off the record.
Yep.
No.
Not this. No. Lots of people are going to hear this. So if you said off the record stuff, that's on you.
Yeah.
Because it's out there. I think that's probably a good place to wrap it up, because you guys really dropped a lot of knowledge. It's fun to see how passionate you guys are about what you do. And I think it's stuff like this, you guys saying your side of it, that's going to help accomplish the things that you want to see happen. Especially when it comes to the relationship with the stock and the horses and the bulls. You got to talk about it, or else no one's going to know.
Yeah, we're really excited you asked us, and Riley thought of us, and
Absolutely.
I mean,
I'm glad you guys are here.
it was cool for us. It's cool to be able to talk on the animals' behalf, as you know, that's what makes it fun.
It's easy.
Absolutely.
It's easy to talk about your kids or your animals. It is the when you get off to other things, you kind of stutter around a little bit. But in the rodeo business, it's different than other sports, meaning it takes two to tango. You really have to have that contestant that fits your animal.
We have to draw right too, as equally as they do.
And we have to keep working and striving to have it where there are more opportunities for those guys. And that's, it's not easy. But if it was easy.
Everybody do it. Mic drop. They're attached.
Unless, remember the last time that you dropped them?
Quiet over there. This is the first word you've said. Quiet. This has been The Gauge, hosted by me, Chance Conrado, produced and edited by our guy Ty Yeager. Shout out to the executive producers Dustin Pointer and Cody Denton. Marketing and content produced by Riley Chone. Our theme song is by Shay Ashshire and the Night Howlers. Make sure to rate and review this podcast, as well as follow The Gauge on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And make sure to subscribe to The Gauge wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you guys next time.